Survival experts have transformed their wilderness skills into a fishing contest, building rafts and using nets to haul in hundreds of pounds of fish. After eating so much fish, needing the bathroom is inevitable. Some experts even built rafts from iron barrels and fished until their hands were sore. They ate so much fish they were stuffed. The survival experts turned wilderness survival into a fishing competition. Whoever catches the most fish can last the longest. The winner gets $1 million prize. By the 18th day, 6 contestants remain. Liku wakes up feeling extremely cold. His hands are so cold they can barely function. His shelter is terrible. Just a waterproof cloth for cover and a hammock made of the same material for a bed. Sleeping in it at night makes his back feel very cold, and the shelter doesn't keep him warm at all. If Liku's shelter can last through winter, I'll eat it raw. On the 16th day, he found a bundle of steel wires by the shore. Today, he plans to use these wires to improve his shelter. He wants to tie the waterproof cloth and wood together. He plans to build a windbreak wall at one end of the shelter, using pine branches hung on the steel wires. This method is pretty good, but he could have built a frame with wood and surrounded the bed with branches. This would keep the wind off his head while he sleeps, offering some relief, but it's still not enough to survive the winter. Ram slept well last night because he caught 3 big fish. Today, he needs to clean his pot, so he takes it to the lake with a big brush. He begins scrubbing the pot by the shore, unaware that his gloves have slipped off. Fortunately, he finds them quickly, but getting them wet infuriates him. After all, gloves are crucial for staying warm while working. With them wet, his hands will freeze on the job. Rams keeps complaining by the shore. He could have spent that time drying his gloves by the fire. It's obvious Rams is very upset. Marder wakes up feeling much colder and puts on a full set of clothes. He's still on the ground, so he plans to make a bed for insulation. Marder gathers pine branches by the shore. He probably wants to use the pine branches as a mattress. Marder doesn't worry about food and drink and is living quite comfortably. He lays the pine branches on the ground in his shelter and puts his sleeping mat on top, making it much more comfortable to sleep. But why doesn't he make his shelter more sealed? Henry has been improving his shelter recently. His shelter is quite well made. It has plenty of firewood and a wooden bed frame. Though it appears basic, it's certainly cozier than Marder's shelter. Henry consumes around £1 pound of berries daily. As a fast food lover, Henry finds the berries sufficient. However, his shelter is poorly located, with water seeping in. Luckily, he built a raised floor with a wooden frame. Still, staying here so long might give him rheumatism. Ram's got his gloves wet and now wants to go home. He's been looking at family photos a lot lately and misses his son terribly. He came here to compete for his family, but now he misses them so much that he suddenly starts crying. If he's doing this for his family, why quit just because he misses them? He gazes at his son's photo, unable to calm down for a long time. Anyway, contestants who look at family photos don't fare well. Liku wakes up early to chop wood. Collecting wood is something he does every day. His shelter is also in terrible shape, affected by the rain and constantly flooded. The fire pit, located at his shelter's entrance, gets soaked whenever it rains. Liku once had the most food among the contestants. He kept many eels in a bag but never improved his shelter, spending every day maintaining the fire pit. It seems like his main focus is the fire pit in this whole wilderness. Rams, in his usual fishing outfit, gets ready to catch fish again. He always wears his special fishing outfit. When he gets to the shore, he sees the wooden anchor he set up has drifted back. This isn't looking good. The net came up empty and the stone anchor is gone. Each time he sets an anchor, he has to wade into the water. With the temperature now twice as cold, he dreads going into the water. And as the weather worsens, and the fish are in deeper water, he needs to reconsider his food sources. It's now the 19th day. Henry wakes up early, eats a couple of berries before heading out. After years of eating fast food, his body has adapted to this diet. If he skips berry picking, he has nothing to do all day, and boredom quickly turns into anxiety. So far, Henry hasn't begun to miss his family. He checks his fish nets at the shore daily, but today, he came up empty again. Now Marder is debating whether to search for food in the jungle or wait for a fishing chance, as climbing the mountain is energy intensive. She plans to climb the mountain in front of her to take a look. After packing her bag, Marder sets off. The trek may be challenging, but finding food will make it worthwhile. The mountain is fairly gentle, and Marder takes her time. At the summit, she spots her shelter. After braving the cold northwest wind, she heads back down the mountain to return home. On her way back, it begins to rain. She reaches her shelter just before the downpour. This hike was fruitless. It seems to rain every day here. Liku's shelter hasn't dried yet, and now it's raining again. The fire he just built today has gone out. He wanted to use the fire to keep warm. Why not move the fire pit closer to the shelter? It's now the 20th day. Rams rises early to inspect his fish net, finding it clogged with debris due to the bad weather. Marder also checks his net by the shore. He uses a raft to place the net in deeper water. This time, he catches another big fish, weighing about 10 pounds. Since using the raft to set the net deeper, Marder has been hauling in fish non-stop, one big catch after another. He now has the most food among the contestants. Today, he caught 7 big fish. With such daily catches, he doesn't need to worry about conserving food. He needs to eat his fill at every meal. Marder has plenty of fish, but Rams hasn't caught any. The cold, shallow water makes fishing tough. Rams, feeling lazy, simply tosses the net with a stone, hoping to catch fish in shallow water. He also tries using a fishing hook. After all, it's his second tool for catching fish. If he doesn't try, he might starve. Even trying doesn't guarantee a catch. This really leaves him starving. It's now the 21st day. Before dawn, Rams is already complaining in his shelter. He's now so hungry that he feels a chill even while sleeping. He desperately needs food to keep his energy up. Rams decides to make a new stone anchor, mainly to secure the fish net. With the anchor, the net won't drift to the shore in deep water. This time, he must give it his all to catch fish, or he might really starve. It's still dark outside. He goes to the shore to check his fish net, but the heavy rain forces him to bring it back to the shelter. He can't sleep at all, just waiting for daylight in the shelter. He hopes to catch a lot of fish this time. After a long wait, it finally gets light. Rams hears the waves at the shore are smaller, which should be good for fishing. His plan today is to wade into the water and cast the net. After putting on his shoes, he heads straight to the shore. The weather is freezing. Rams, clutching a stone, wades into deeper water, about 10 meters out. He drops the stone anchor and carefully pulls out the fishing net. Once it's set up, Rams is shivering from the cold. It rained non-stop, and the creek water flooded into the lake, wiping out the old shoreline. Henry stands at the edge, watching the waves. It feels like the world is ending. Marder's in the same boat. The area in front of his wooden chair is now underwater. The lake's rising water makes fishing impossible in this weather, worsening Marder's situation. Although his shelter is decent, he hasn't had fish for a long time. If it rains for a few more days, the water might flood his shelter. Marder has packed his gear, ready to leave at any moment. If his shelter gets flooded at this critical time, it would be a disaster. Every time the wind blows hard, Liku gets very worried because he lives in the jungle, where most trees are unstable. They can topple easily in strong winds, causing the ground to tremble. Liku stays in his shelter, constantly monitoring the situation. Rams, living by the shore, finds the huge waves terrifying. His fishing net remains in the water. With the storm raging, he doubts he'll catch much, but just hopes the net stays put. Rams curses at the waves, clearly frustrated, while others are shivering from hunger and cold. Marder is taking a bath in the water. The joy of being well-fed is something the hungry can't understand. After his bath, he stands on the shore, enjoying the breeze. He has no worries about food, but isn't he afraid of catching a cold? I've never seen Liku catch fish. In the second season, he raised 5 eels and 2 salmon. Now, he just lies around. The only time he works is for basic survival. It's now the 22nd day. The wind has finally died down. Feeling very cold, Liku quickly starts a fire to warm up. He's growing weary of this life. Looking at his state, he might quit the competition. Liku wanders around his shelter, thinking about his family. Henry's situation isn't much better. The damp surroundings and dropping temperatures are getting to him. Surviving on just plants daily drains his energy, making him feel even colder. Henry is now thinking about quitting. It's the 23rd day. At the moment, only Marder has a daily supply of fish. His shelter is cozy with a fire inside. Meanwhile, hail has begun to fall outside. The weather is dropping rapidly, something no one expected. Today's hail means winter has arrived. All contestants will face even tougher challenges. On the 24th day, Fleming reappears after being off camera for a while. I thought he went on vacation. He also made a raft, but unlike Marder, he couldn't find the right spot to fish. Why can't Fleming catch any fish? It turns out he's been obsessed with fishing lately, but hasn't set up his fish net. No wonder he hasn't caught any fish. Rams checks his net at the shore and, luckily, finds a fish. This time, his hard work paid off. Going to deeper waters really does help. This fish will last Rams 2 days. Back at his shelter, Rams makes a pot of fish soup. He savors every bite, having not eaten fish for several days. He savors it slowly. On the 25th day, Henry wakes up too cold to wear his frozen shoes. His shoes are frozen stiff. He can now clearly feel his muscles atrophying. Out here, he can't eat as well as he does at home, surviving only on berries. How could that be good? Fleming goes out fishing every day. His wooden barrel raft is simple but durable. He always takes the raft out to fish, and today he has a big catch, putting the fish into a bag. Fleming is the only one who can store fish in a bag, so he doesn't worry about them spoiling. His catch today is enormous. Nearly every fish is enough to satisfy him. Fleming heads to the creek to clean them and finds one big fish full of roe. Fish roe is very nutritious, and Fleming eats it raw. Wouldn't it taste better cooked? He fries a pan of fish in his shelter. Today's meal is bound to be filling, but he doesn't know how to store food, eating everything in one go. It's definitely not wise, but with today's big catch, he's likely not worried about future food problems. For now, enjoying the meal is what matters most. At night, Henry can't sleep, thinking about his wife in his shelter. It's clear what's on his mind. On the 27th day, Ram sits by the shore, soaking up the sun. Last night, I enjoyed a great meal and slept soundly. Out of nowhere, the program's boat showed up again. Who's getting eliminated this time? Right now, Henry and Rams are struggling. Unsurprisingly, Henry is the one going home. How can a stoat survive winter on a vegetarian diet? On his first day, he burned the fishing net, ruining his own chances. What surprises will the contestants bring next? Can't wait for the next episode.